Chosen one, I need you to hear this clearly, not with fear, but with awareness, not with panic, but with urgency. Because time is moving whether you acknowledge it or not, and something deep within you already knows this is not just another message, not just another video, not just another moment you can scroll past and come back to later. There are seasons in life where everything feels flexible, where tomorrow feels guaranteed, where delay feels harmless. And then there are moments like this where the weight in your spirit is heavier, where something unseen is pressing on your attention, where you feel a quiet but persistent nudge saying, pay attention now. This is one of those moments. You didn't click this by accident. You didn't land here randomly. You are here because something is aligning, and alignment always comes with urgency. You've been sensing it, haven't you? That subtle awareness that time is speeding up, that days are passing faster than they used to, that opportunities don't linger the way they once did. You wake up, and before you know it, the day is gone. Weeks blur together. Months disappear. And somewhere in the middle of all that movement, there's a call you've been postponing. Not because you don't care, but because you've been telling yourself, I'll start soon. I'll do it when things settle down. I'll take it seriously when I feel more ready. But here's the truth most people avoid. Readiness is not something that arrives on its own. It's something that responds to obedience. And obedience is time sensitive. Chosen one, this message is not meant to overwhelm you. It's meant to awaken you, because there is a difference between being busy and being aligned. There's a difference between movement and progress. And right now, many people are moving fast in the wrong direction while you are being asked to slow down just enough to choose the right one. Time running out doesn't always mean disaster is coming. Sometimes it means opportunity is closing. Sometimes it means the window is narrowing. Sometimes it means the grace period is ending. You've been given insight others don't have. You see patterns. You sense shifts before they happen. You notice when energy changes in a room, in a relationship, in a season. That sensitivity isn't a weakness, it's a signal. And signals are meant to be acted on, not analyzed endlessly. Overthinking has kept you stuck longer than any external obstacle ever could. You've replayed conversations, imagined outcomes, waited for perfect conditions that were never promised. Meanwhile, time kept moving forward, quietly, consistently, without asking your permission. There's a reason this must be your first video today, before the noise, before the distractions, before you absorb everyone else's opinions, fears, and projections. This is about alignment before influence, about clarity before consumption, about choosing direction before distraction. When you start your day with intention, you reclaim authority over it. And authority is something you are meant to walk in, not wish for from a distance. Chosen one, let me be honest with you in a way that respects your strength. Some doors only open once. Not because you're unworthy of a second chance, but because the timing itself was part of the gift. Miss the timing, and you don't lose your destiny, but you do complicate the path to it. Detours cost energy. Delays require recovery. And unnecessary recovery is exhausting. You've already been through enough cycles of rebuilding, enough seasons of starting over, enough moments where you said, I should have trusted myself sooner. This is not about fear of loss. It's about awareness of value. Time is valuable because it's non-refundable. You can earn more money, you can rebuild connections, you can learn new skills, but you cannot rewind a season once it has passed. And seasons don't announce themselves loudly. They whisper, they nudge. They feel like gentle pressure rather than dramatic alarms. That's why so many people miss them. They wait for something loud, something obvious, something undeniable. But by the time it's undeniable, it's often already late. You've been feeling a quiet urgency, not frantic, not chaotic, just steady, a sense that something needs to be prioritized, that something needs to move from someday to today, that something needs to stop living only in your thoughts and finally take form in the real world. This is not about perfection. This is about initiation. Beginnings carry power. First steps create momentum. And momentum, once established, becomes harder to stop than to start. Chosen one, understand this. Hesitation feels safe, but it's deceptive. It convinces you that you're protecting yourself, when in reality, you're postponing your own expansion. Growth always feels risky, right before it feels natural. Every level you admire once felt uncomfortable to the people living in it now. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It's the decision that fear will not be the decision maker. Time running out doesn't mean you're behind. It means you're being invited to focus, to strip away what doesn't matter, to stop giving energy to things that drain you but don't develop you, to stop negotiating with distractions that promise comfort but deliver stagnation. You don't need to do everything. You need to do the right thing first. There are people connected to your obedience that you haven't even met yet. Conversations that won't happen until you move. Opportunities that won't reveal themselves until you commit. Clarity often follows action, not the other way around. You've been waiting to feel fully confident before starting, but confidence grows from movement, not meditation alone. At some point, reflection must give way to execution. Chosen one, this is a moment of alignment. Alignment between what you know and what you do, between what you feel and what you act on, between what you've been preparing for internally and what you're finally willing to express externally. You don't need a sign written in the sky. The persistence of this message is the sign. The way it keeps returning to your attention is the sign. The way you feel slightly uncomfortable, slightly exposed, slightly challenged right now, that's the sign. Time doesn't wait for certainty. It responds to courage. And courage is not loud. It's quiet, steady, and decisive. It says, I don't have all the answers, but I'm moving anyway. It says, I trust that clarity will meet me on the path, not before it. You are not late, but you are at a crossroads. And crossroads require decisions, not delays. This must be your first video today because what you consume first sets the tone for everything that follows. Feed urgency before entertainment. Feed purpose before noise. Feed direction before distraction. When you do that, the rest of the day rearranges itself around your intention instead of pulling you apart with competing demands. You've been entrusted with something meaningful, not flashy, not shallow, but substantial. And substantial things require commitment. They require showing up even when motivation fluctuates. They require choosing discipline over comfort. They require understanding that feelings are temporary, but decisions shape futures. Chosen one, listen closely to this next truth because it matters more than you realize. The delay you think is protecting you is actually teaching others to move without you. Life does not pause to wait for hesitation. It flows around it. And while you can always re-enter the flow, it's easier to step in now than to chase it later. You don't need to rush, but you do need to begin. There is a calm urgency in this moment, not pressure, no, to panic, but precision. A sense that now is the right time, not because everything is perfect, but because everything is aligned enough. Enough clarity, enough strength, enough awareness, enough resilience from what you've already survived. You didn't come this far to stand still at the edge of your own potential. You've already outgrown the version of you that keeps waiting for permission. You don't need approval to act on what you know. You don't need validation to honor what you feel. You don't need consensus to choose alignment. Some paths are meant to be walked alone at first, until the evidence of movement speaks louder than explanation. Time is running, yes, but not to scare you, to remind you that life is active, responsive, alive, and you are meant to be active within it, not watching from the sidelines, not rehearsing endlessly, not postponing the very thing that keeps returning to your heart. This moment is asking you to choose presence over procrastination, action over analysis, trust over delay. And as you sit with this, as it settles deeper than surface level motivation, you may feel a quiet resolve forming, not dramatic, not emotional, just steady. A knowing that something shifts when you stop waiting and start moving. A recognition that the first step doesn't need applause, it just needs commitment. That the beginning doesn't need perfection, it needs sincerity. And that the path ahead doesn't need you to see the entire journey, only to take the next aligned step with intention and awareness, knowing that momentum will build, clarity will deepen, and direction will sharpen as you continue forward, staying present with the urgency of now, aware of the vow of time, and grounded in the understanding that this moment is not asking for fear, but for focus, not asking for panic, but for presence, not asking for perfection, but for movement, because what you choose to do next carries weight, carries consequence, carries potential, and the way you respond to this moment will quietly shape how the next season unfolds step by step, decision by decision. As you continue to move forward with this awareness settling deeper into you, guiding how you listen, how you act, how you prioritize, and how you show up from this point onward. And as you move forward from this awareness, you'll begin to notice how different everything feels when you stop dragging yesterday's doubts into today's decisions. There is a clarity that comes when you finally accept that waiting has an emotional cost. It drains energy. It dulls passion. It slowly convinces you that comfort is safer than growth. But deep down, you've never been built for comfort alone. You've always been stirred by purpose, even when you tried to ignore it. Even when you told yourself you were fine where you were. Even when you convinced yourself that silence was peace. Silence is not always peace. Sometimes it's avoidance wearing a calm disguise. Chosen one, there's something powerful about choosing to act while your hands are still shaking, while your voice isn't fully confident, while the outcome isn't guaranteed. That's where real transformation begins. Not when fear disappears, But when fear loses its authority over your actions, you've been strong in surviving. Now you're being asked to be strong in deciding. Survival taught you resilience. Decision will teach you direction, and direction changes everything. You spent a long time preparing internally, processing, healing, observing, learning, and all of that mattered. None of it was wasted. But preparation without execution eventually becomes self-sabotage. You can only sharpen a blade for so long before it's meant to cut. You can only store potential for so long before it demands release. There is pressure inside you, not because something is wrong, but because something is ready. You may feel like others are ahead of you, like time favors them more generously, like they were given opportunities earlier, easier, cleaner. But what you don't see is the weight you carry that they never had to learn how to hold. Your depth, your discernment, your ability to see beyond the surface. These things take time to develop, and once they do, they accelerate progress in ways shortcuts never can. What looks like delay often turns out to be refinement. Still, refinement does not cancel responsibility. Awareness increases it. Once you know, you're accountable to act. Once you see, you can't pretend you're blind. And right now, you see clearly enough to take the next step. Not every step, just the next one. That's all alignment ever asks for. Presence in the now, obedience in the moment, courage in the decision. Chosen one, there will always be reasons to wait, always excuses that sound logical, always voices, internal or external, that say not yet. But the voice guiding you now is different. It's steady. It doesn't argue. It doesn't rush. It simply persists. And persistence is the language of purpose. If something keeps returning to you, it's not to torment you, it's to invite you. Time running out also means clarity running in. You're being shown what matters and what doesn't, who drains you and who strengthens you, what aligns with your future and what anchors you to your past. This discernment didn't come by accident. It came because you asked for growth, whether consciously or not. And growth answers honestly. You don't need to announce your next move to everyone. You don't need permission slips or applause. Some shifts are meant to happen quietly, internally first, before they become visible externally. Protect your momentum. Protect your focus. Protect this fragile but powerful phase of beginning. Beginnings don't need commentary, they need consistency. Chosen one, notice how often the fear you feel is not about failure, but about visibility. Being seen trying, being seen starting, being seen before everything is polished. That fear has kept many people talented but inactive. Don't let it keep you there. The world doesn't reward hidden potential. It responds to expressed courage. You are not late to your life, but you are being asked to stop treating time casually. Every day you wake up is an opportunity charged with intention. How you spend your attention determines what grows in your life. Attention is a form of agreement, and you've been giving too much of it to things that don't move you forward. This moment is about reclaiming your focus, choosing depth over distraction, direction over drifting, into nationality over impulse. You don't need to do more. You need to do what matters most first. When you get that right, everything else reorganizes itself naturally. You've been carrying an inner knowing that something is supposed to shift now. Not later, not someday, now. And the discomfort you feel is not resistance, it's transition. Transition always feels unstable because the old no longer fits and the new isn't fully formed yet. But that space, that in-between, is sacred. It's where identity reshapes itself. Chosen one, you are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to outgrow old versions of yourself, old expectations, old limitations. You don't owe consistency to who you used to be if that version no longer aligns with who you are becoming. Growth requires release, and release requires decision. Time is running, yes, but so is opportunity. They move together. Miss one, and you complicate the other. This isn't about pressure. It's about precision. Choosing wisely, acting intentionally, moving deliberately instead of drifting passively. There will be moments ahead where you'll want to quit, where the excitement fades and discipline is all that remains. Those moments are not signs you chose wrong. They're signs you chose something real. Anything meaningful tests commitment before it rewards it. Stay present, stay grounded, stay aligned. You don't need to figure out your entire future today. You just need to honor the instruction of now. The next action, the next decision, the next step that feels both slightly uncomfortable and deeply right. That's alignment. It doesn't scream, it resonates. Chosen one, the version of you that exists on the other side of action is grateful you didn't wait. Grateful you didn't let fear masquerade as wisdom. Grateful you trusted the urgency instead of ignoring it. That future version isn't asking you to be perfect. It's asking you to be brave enough to begin. There is a momentum waiting for you that only activates once you move. Until then, it remains dormant, patient, but unused. Life responds to motion. Doors respond to knocks. Paths reveal themselves to walkers, not observers. You've observed long enough. As this awareness deepens, you may notice a shift in how you carry yourself. A subtle confidence, not because everything is solved, but because you finally stopped avoiding what you know needs to be done. There is peace in decision even before results appear. Peace comes from alignment, not outcomes. Time is running, but so is growth, so is clarity, so is opportunity. And you are standing at the intersection of all three. What you do next doesn't need to be dramatic. It just needs to be intentional. A step forward, a choice made, a commitment honored. Stay present in this moment. Let it settle. Let it shape how you move next. Let it sharpen your focus instead of scattering it. And as you continue forward from here, carrying this urgency not as fear, but as fuel, not as pressure, but as purpose, you'll find yourself moving with a steadiness you didn't have before, guided not by anxiety about time passing, but by respect for its value. Allowing each step to build on the last, letting momentum grow quietly, letting direction become clearer with motion, staying aware, staying aligned, staying responsive to the now, understanding that this is not the end of a message, but the continuation of a calling that unfolds as you walk, as you choose, as you act, moment by moment, decision by decision, remaining attentive to what rises next, ready to move again when the next instruction becomes clear. And as you stay with this rhythm, you may begin to realize that the urgency you feel is not external pressure, but internal alignment coming into focus. It's the kind of urgency that doesn't rush you, but steadies you. It narrows your attention. It makes certain distractions lose their appeal. Things that once felt important suddenly feel loud and unnecessary. That's not confusion. That's clarity emerging. When purpose sharpens, noise becomes obvious. You've spent enough time questioning whether you're capable. Capability was never the issue. Consistency was, direction was, permission was. And now those questions are dissolving, not because you answered them intellectually, but because you're finally standing in a moment where action matters more than explanation. Some truths don't need to be debated. They need to be lived, chosen one. Notice how your body responds when you think about moving forward. There's tension, yes, but there's also energy, a quiet excitement underneath the fear. That's how you know this isn't about forcing yourself into something unnatural. Resistance drains, alignment energizes. Even when it's uncomfortable, it carries a current that moves you forward rather than holding you back. You've learned enough from watching others succeed and fail, from observing patterns, from seeing what happens when people ignore their inner signal and what happens when they honor it. Those observations weren't meant to turn you into a spectator. They were meant to prepare why you to step in with wisdom instead of naivety. You're not starting from zero, you're starting from awareness. Time keeps revealing who you are when no one is watching. It exposes priorities. It shows what you protect and what you postpone. And right now, it's inviting you to protect what matters instead of postponing it. You don't need to make everything public. You just need to make it real. There will be days when progress feels invisible, when effort doesn't immediately translate into reward. Those days are part of the design. They build endurance. They refine intention. They teach you to move without external validation. If you can stay committed when no one is clapping, you're building something that lasts beyond applause. Chosen one, you're not meant to carry this urgency as a burden. It's meant to become a compass, something that gently corrects your direction when you drift, something that reminds you to check in with yourself when you start operating on autopilot. Life has a way of speeding up when you're misaligned and slowing down when you're present. Pay attention to that rhythm. You've outgrown the phase of waiting for the right mood. Mood follows movement, not the other way around. Inspiration shows up once you're already engaged. Momentum is generous like that. It rewards participation. You don't need to feel ready. You need to be willing. There is a difference between patience and procrastination, and you know it. Patience feels grounded. Procrastination feels heavy. One preserves peace, the other drains it. If something has been lingering in your thoughts for too long, it's no longer waiting for reflection. It's waiting for action. Chosen one, the head doesn't require you to become someone else. It requires you to stop shrinking who you already are. You've been editing yourself to fit spaces that were never meant to hold you. This next step isn't about fitting in. It's about standing fully where you are meant to stand. You may notice resistance from unexpected places, people who are comfortable with the old version of you, situations that benefited from your hesitation. Don't mistake that resistance for a sign you're wrong. Growth disrupts dynamics. Alignment changes agreements. Not everyone will understand your timing, and that's okay. Understanding is not a prerequisite for obedience. Time doesn't argue, it simply continues. And as it continues, it highlights what you choose to carry forward and what you leave behind. Carry purpose, leave doubt, carry intention, leave hesitation, carry discipline, leave excuses that no longer fit the version of you you're becoming. There is a simplicity to this moment that your mind may try to complicate. The instruction isn't complex, it's direct. Begin, act, commit. The complexity comes from fear trying to negotiate control. You don't need to negotiate with fear, you need to move despite it. Chosen one, you've already survived moments that once felt impossible. That alone should tell you something about your capacity. The same resilience that carried you through difficulty will carry you through initiation. Starting is not more dangerous than staying stuck. In many cases, it's safer. As you move, you'll learn things you couldn't have learned by thinking. You'll discover strengths that don't reveal themselves in planning. You'll develop skills that only emerge under press. Sure, action is a teacher thought can't replace. Time running out also means urgency in refining your boundaries. Not everything deserves your energy. Not everyone deserves your access. Focus is a form of respect, both for yourself and for what you're building. Protect it. You may feel moments of loneliness as you shift. That's not because you're losing people. It's because you're changing frequency. Alignment often requires temporary solitude so clarity can speak without interference. Don't rush to fill that space. Let it work. Chosen one, you don't need to carry yesterday's regret into today's decision. Regret belongs to reflection, not direction. Learn from it, then release it. Today's step is not about fixing the past. It's about honoring the present. There is a steadiness growing in you now, subtle but real. A resolve that doesn't need hype, a commitment that doesn't need witnesses. That kind of resolve is powerful because it's sustainable. It lasts beyond motivation spikes and emotional waves. Time will test what you claim to value. It will ask for proof in the form of consistency. Show up, even when it's inconvenient, especially when it's inconvenient. That's where alignment deepens. You are not being rushed. You are being called to focus, called to initiate, called to stop waiting for a version of yourself that only exists after you begin. Becoming happens in motion, and as you continue forward, you may notice how the questions change. Less what if I fail, and more what happens if I don't try. Less fear of starting and more discomfort with stagnation. That shift is important. It means growth has begun internally. Chosen one, let the urgency sharp and you, not scatter you. Let it pull you into the present moment where your power actually exists. You can't act in the past. You can't move in the future. You can only decide now. Stay with this awareness. Let it inform your next choice, then the one after that. Let momentum build quietly. Let direction reveal itself through movement. And as you continue to walk forward with intention, resisting the urge to pause out of habit rather than wisdom, staying attentive to the subtle signals guiding you, allowing focus to replace noise and clarity to replace hesitation, you'll find yourself moving deeper into alignment without needing constant reassurance, understanding that this unfolding is ongoing, that each step leads naturally to the next, that time continues to move, and so do you, responsive, present, engaged, carrying this sense of purpose with you as the path continues to open moment by moment without needing to rush toward an ending, simply staying in motion, aware, committed, and ready for what rises next. And as this movement continues, something subtle but important begins to change inside you. You stop asking for reassurance from the outside world because the confirmation you were waiting for starts forming internally. It doesn't shout. It doesn't boast. It simply settles. A quiet knowing that you are finally responding instead of resisting. That alone creates momentum most people never experience because most people stay stuck negotiating with their own hesitation. Chosen one, there is a version of you that only exists in motion, not in planning, not in imagining, not in replaying scenarios. That version shows up only when you commit your energy to forward movement. And once you meet that version of yourself, you realize how much strength was being held back by waiting. Waiting dulls sharp edges. Movement restores them. You may begin to notice that your tolerance for distractions is decreasing. Things that once stole hours now feel empty. Conversations that go nowhere feel draining. This is not arrogance, it's alignment refining your attention. When purpose becomes clearer, time becomes more precious. And when time becomes more precious, you stop spending it carelessly. There will be moments when old habits try to pull you back into familiar patterns. The comfort of delay, the safety of indecision, the illusion that staying still is neutral. But stillness, when it's rooted in avoidance, is never neutral. It quietly chooses stagnation. And you are no longer wired for that choice. Chosen one, understand this deeply. You don't need to fight your old self. You just need to outgrow it. Growth doesn't require conflict. It requires commitment. Every time you choose action over avoidance, you loosen the grip of what used to control you. Not dramatically, gradually, permanently. As you continue, you may feel moments of doubt resurface. That doesn't mean you're regressing. Doubt often appears right before expansion. It's the mind's attempt to regain control when it senses change. Let it speak without letting it decide. Acknowledge it, then move anyway. Time is not just passing, it's revealing what matters, revealing what lasts, revealing where your attention truly goes when no one is watching. And now that you're aware of this, you can't unknow it. Awareness changes responsibility, and responsibility changes behavior. You're beginning to understand that discipline is not punishment, it's protection. It protects your future from the impulses of the present. It protects your calling from momentary comfort. It protects your energy from unnecessary depletion. And once discipline becomes internal rather than forced, everything shifts. Chosen one, there is a maturity growing in how you approach decisions. Less emotional reactivity, more intentional response, less urgency driven by fear, more urgency driven by clarity. That distinction matters. Fear-based urgency scatters, purpose-based urgency focuses. You may notice that some people won't recognize this shift in you right away. They're used to the version of you that hesitated, that over-explained, that delayed. Don't let their confusion become your doubt. Growth doesn't ask for permission from familiarity. There is a rhythm forming now, a steady pace that doesn't burn you out or leave you stagnant. You're learning how to move consistently instead of intensely. Consistency is what carries you through seasons, not bursts of motivation. This rhythm will serve you well if you protect it. Time continues to move, but you no longer feel chased by it. Instead, you feel invited to walk with it, to cooperate with it, to use it wisely. That shift alone reduces anxiety and increases clarity. When you stop fighting time, you start partnering with it. Chosen one, you're beginning to see that alignment doesn't eliminate challenges. It changes how you meet them. Challenges become feedback instead of threats. Obstacles become information instead of confirmation of failure. This perspective is earned, not gifted, and you're earning it now. There will be days when progress feels slow, when results lag behind effort, when patience is tested. Those days are not wasted. They are strengthening your capacity to stay present without immediate reward. That capacity is rare and it's powerful. You are learning to trust the process without romanticizing it, to honor the journey without pretending it's easy, to stay committed without needing constant emotional highs. This grounded approach is what allows growth to last. Chosen one, pay attention to how your self-talk is changing. Less harshness, less self-betrayal, more honesty, more responsibility. That internal shift matters more than any external milestone, because how you speak to yourself determines how long you can sustain growth. You don't need to rush outcomes. You need to respect inputs. What you do daily matters more than what you do occasionally. Small, consistent actions compound quietly over time, and compounding is invisible until it's undeniable. Time is running, but so is alignment. And alignment, once established, accelerates everything else naturally. You don't need to force progress. You need to stay present and engaged. Progress follows presence. You may feel moments of isolation as you prioritize differently. That's not loss, that's refinement. As you grow, your environment adjusts. Some connections deepen, others fade. Trust that this is part of the unfolding, not a mistake. Chosen one, there is wisdom in knowing when to move and when to pause, but this moment is not asking for pause. It's asking for continuation, for momentum, for commitment to what you've already begun internally. Stopping now would only recreate the tension you're finally releasing. You are learning how to listen to yourself without second-guessing every signal. That skill will guide you more accurately than external opinions ever could. Others can advise. Only you can decide. Time will keep asking questions through circumstances. How you respond will reveal who you're becoming, not who you say you are, but who you consistently choose to be. That identity is forming now, choice by choice. Chosen one, you don't need to arrive to be aligned. Alignment is how you walk, not where you end up. Stay aware, stay intentional, stay responsive. Let the journey shape you as much as the destination ever could. And as you continue moving forward in this state of awareness, letting focus replace distraction, letting consistency replace hesitation, letting action replace overthinking, you'll notice that the urgency you once feared now feels like guidance. That time no longer feels like an enemy but a partner. That each step taken with intention strengthens the next. And that this unfolding does not demand an ending or a conclusion, only continued presence, continued movement, continued willingness to respond to what rises next, staying grounded in the now, attentive to the flow, and committed to moving forward as the path continues to reveal itself moment by moment, without stopping, without closing, without needing to resolve everything at once, simply continuing in alignment as the journey carries on. Chosen one, let this be the moment you stop negotiating with what you already know. Not tomorrow, not after one more sign, not after one more delay disguised as preparation. Let this be the moment you decide that your life deserves your full presence, your full courage, your full commitment. Time has not been threatening you, it has been inviting you to rise into alignment, to honor the urgency without fear, to move forward with intention instead of hesitation. You were never meant to rush blindly, but you were never meant to stand still forever either. Take what you felt here, what's settled deeply in your spirit, and let it shape how you act when this moment ends. Begin where you are, move with clarity, stay consistent even when it's quiet. Trust that every step taken in alignment multiplies its impact beyond what you can see right now. And remember this clearly. As you move forward, the decision you make now echoes into the future. The courage you choose now creates momentum, and the way you honor this moment determines how the next season unfolds, because time will continue, and from this point on, so will you.